Hello everybody, welcome to another episode of the PMD Tea Buyers Club. I'm your host, Dhananjay Silva. I am shooting this video after a long hiatus, and the show is almost like that, isn't it? Long hiatuses, simply because I'll be honest, man, I'm just so busy. I'm busy. That doesn't mean I'm not tasting tea. I've been tasting quite a fair amount of tea these days, but I have got a special episode for you. It is about selecting teas that we need in our company, in the company desperately. This is a tea tasting that I'm doing for our English breakfast standard. So our English breakfast tea, we're running down on the amount of tea that we've got in stores. There's talk of a looming strike coming in Sri Lanka because of a wage negotiation, and there's also this huge political turmoil that's happening as well. So with that in mind, I think it's smart to buy up some tea, maybe even sit on it. If a strike comes or if a strike doesn't come, it's better to keep some tea in stock now than to be without. We're down to less than 200 kilos on this particular blend, which isn't really anything. We're going to go through it just like that. So with that said, we have already picked up one tea from Somerset Estate, and that tea has character. That tea has a lot of flavour to it. It has aroma, but one thing that tea lacks, which you need for an English breakfast tea, is you need thickness. And you need body. It needs to be able to take well with milk, like this. So, with that said, we are on the hunt for teas that have thickness, and teas that have colour, and teas that can take well with milk. So we're looking for those, and we're also looking for some other characteristics that can come through. So what I've got here is a small selection of teas from the Western High Road that have been selected in and I've narrowed down. So now we're going to be sitting with one of these 5 teas here. Potentially is what we've come down to use as the next component in our blend. So let me take you through the estates that we've got here. Let's start on the right. On the right hand side, I've got Fordyce Tea Estate. Fordyce is run by Calnia Valley Plantations, which is managed by Haley's. Just opening up the packet, wonderful smell coming through, big aroma. It's a BOP grade of tea that we're looking for here. So, what do we have out of this tea here? Well-made BOP, nice grainy texture to the leaf. It's black, and there's a nice aroma coming out from it. Now, Fordyce, I'm thinking of Industry, which is next to Fordyce Estate. Fordyce Estate is found in Dick Koya. Now, Dick Koya is south of Hatton. If you're ever traveling to Sri Lanka, you come up Hatton, you come down into Dick Koya, and you'll see the Castlereagh Dam. Now, Dick Koya is probably one of my favourite places on earth. I absolutely love going to Dick Koya, and I really like the teas that Dick Koya makes. They're a little bit more heavier than some of the other regions within Dimula, their teas. The Dick Koya teas, the Muscelias, they tend to be a little bit more heavier in character than what you'll find from, let's say, Nanoya or from Talawakale. But this, on leaf appearance, a very nice tea. If we look at the next tea, which is from Stockholm Estate, Stockholm is, now you're going past Muskelia, which is the spiritual home of PMD, you're going towards Upcut, and that's where you'll find Stockholm Estate. It's about I think 500 hectares in size, and this is on the Horner Plantation. Again, it's managed by Haley's actually. And I think one thing you'll see across all these 5 teas is that these teas are all managed by Haley's Group. And one thing I'm really pleased about is the way Haley's manages its tea estates. If you go up to Calnia Valley, if you look at Pedro, where we get our Lover's Leap from, if you go through any of the Talawakale estates, they're really well kept. Bushes are in good order, factories are in good order as well. Getting back to Stockholm, again, the leaf isn't as good as the leaf on Fordyce. I prefer the leaf on the Fordyce. There's a touch brownness to it, but still a very good leaf and a very good aroma actually. I think the aroma on Fordyce was better, but a nice aroma coming out of Stockholm as well. So 2 good teas, and they're both looking a little thick in the cup as well. Both looking thick. Next tea that we've got, Alton, Stockholm Sister Estate, right next to it. So Horner Plantations have 4 estates in the Muskelia region. And really, if you're talking about Muskelia teas now, from what's available, these are the 4 estates that you can really buy good Muskelia teas from. Alton, Gardewiller, Fairlawn, and Stockholm. all run by Horner Plantations. Sadly, the ones managed by Muscadet Plantations aren't good. They don't, I mean, the management practices at Muscadet Plantations are what they are. And to be honest, I don't think they're doing justice to those estates. Alton, a very nice leaf, black, and a very good aroma. It's probably the best aroma that we have seen out of all three of them. By far the best. By far the best aroma. A nice leaf, good particle size, all even. Very nice. Very, very nice. So, 3 good teas, 3 good leaves. And while I'm sitting here talking to you guys, you can actually smell the aroma coming out from all of the brews. So, a good start. Doesn't look like we've got too many bad teas in this batch. Our next estate. Now, we've had 1 from Ditkoyer, 2 from Muscadet Upcut side. The next one I've got here is Great Western Tea Estate. Now, Great Western is, again, a double tea, but it is in Thalawaketh. Little higher elevation. It's on the Great Western range. Now, Great Western teas, I tend to find they don't have as much body. They're a little lighter, they're at a higher elevation, probably touching about 1,000 feet up, almost, in elevation. It's a good leaf. It's a very good leaf. Nice grainy particle texture, black. And the aroma's there as well. It's a very good aroma. But whether, just looking at that cup, skipping forward, just looking at that cup, it's looking a little thin. It's looking a tad thin, and is it what we need for this blend? Now bear in mind, we've already got a Somerset. Somerset is similar region to Great Western, so you know, are you going to have a thin cup of tea, which is not what we're looking for if you were to blend these 2 teas together. Next estate is Anfield. Again, this is part of County Valley Plantations. This is again in Ditkoyer as well. Nice black leaf, and we have a smell, a real nice, you know, floral aroma to it. Very, very nice. Looking on aroma, looking on leaf, I would actually say the tea that probably has the best aroma is Fordyce and then Anfield actually. Both Ditkoyer tea estates in a beautiful part of the country. Probably, like I said, my favourite part of the whole Sri Lankan upcountry, even more so than Muscadet. I don't know why, but when I go to Ditkoyer, I absolutely love it. Let's have a look at the actual infusions themselves. They all look pretty good. Just by standing out, I think the 2 that stand out would actually be this one here. This Alton, nice bright coppery infusion, and again this Stockholm as well. A nice bright coppery infusion in that as well. But if we're going on nose, how do these smell? The Fordyce, a nice black curranty note coming out in that. The Stockholm, a very thick, earthy, almost reminds me of like short crust pastry actually, this one. I don't know why. Not short crust, short bread. So a nice thick, earthy shortbread type note coming out of this one. The Alton, this probably has the best aroma out of all of them. A nice, earthy, slightly malty aroma coming out of this one. Great Western. Surprisingly nothing out of this. Surprisingly there's no, the nose is completely flat on this. There's nothing out of the Great Western. A little bit here, a little bit of a floral note coming through in here, but in the actual infuser, nothing. Plain, very plain. And then finally, the Anfield. What have we got here? Again, plain, nothing. Nothing out of the Anfield whatsoever. So, 4 teas. Right now, I would say, in terms of aroma, what I like would be the Fordyce, it would be the Stockholm, it would also be the Alton would be my picks. So if we were to have a look at the actual cups, if I pan this over here and get the camera to pan in, it's a nice thick cup. It's reddish in character, very thick. This is the type of tea that we need. We're looking for something thick. We've already got the aroma, we've already got the flavour, we've already got the character coming out. Not that we don't need character and we don't need aroma and flavour, but we need some thickness, we need some body to this cup. That's what we're looking for. So let's have a taste. Let me get my trusty spit bucket out. Ooh. Got that on hand, and let's give a taste. That's a very nice tea, very well made, nice thick coating right around the palate. A nice little blackcurrant note coming through. I think that tea would work very well with the Somerset. I think they'd combine very well. It's nice and thick. It really has. It has thickness, it has colour. It's a good tea, very good tea from Fordyce. And again, you know that sort of blackcurrant aroma, you get that through your palate. Next tea, Stockholm. From Upcut side, it's been a long time since I went to Stockholm, but a beautiful tea estate. It's a lot better than the Fordyce. Again, it has thickness. There's a little earthy note to it. But that I think the reason why I prefer it out of those two is that it just has that sort of shortbready texture to it. I don't know why, but it just reminds me of shortbread. That again would take very well with the it'll take very well with the Somerset. Next tea, alternate sister tea estate. Which one would come out well here? Surprisingly, this is why it's very important that you taste. This tea, this Alton, it has, if you look at the cup, it looks thick and it has colour, but when you actually taste it, it's very thin on the palate. If you taste it against this Fordyce, immediately when you taste the Fordyce, there's thickness coating your palate. With this, although the cup colours look similar, they look very, very similar in cup colour, this is thin, very thin. You'll notice that the Stockholm is a lot brighter. This one, however, is a lot thicker, but here, much thinner. Alton, very thin. For me, it's out. It's out. It's not going to work with this blend. The other tea is quite thin. This is thin. It won't take well with milk. We'll try this with milk in a bit. Next one, Great Western. I don't have high hopes on this simply because it's at a higher elevation. The nose hasn't been as good, but let's give it a go. It's a nice tea. There is flavour, but it's not what we're looking at. Again, it's too thin. It's not going to blend well with this tea that we've already got. And this is the thing: you can have a good tea, but at times it's not what you need as a component in your final blend. So that's not to say that this Great Western isn't a good tea. It is a good tea. It's just not what we need right now for this particular tea that we're trying to create. And then finally the Anfield. Again, a Dickoy tea estate. It should be heavy. It should certainly be heavier than this Great Western. Let's have a go at this. It's lacking. It's thin on the palate. It lacks in flavour. It's not at all suitable. So Anfield, Alton, both definitely out because they both lack flavour and aroma, and most key, they lack any thickness. And Great Western is out as well. And just to make sure that, and to show you also at home what I mean by thickness, I'm going to add a spoon of milk. Why am I adding milk? Because when people like to have their English breakfast tea, a lot of people like to enjoy it with milk. So if you're tasting, you should taste it with the milk. Very important to taste tea that consumers will taste with milk. Now there's a lot of skin in this tea because it's been heated up. I don't know why it has had that, but if we look at these cups again, just on cup colour, you can see here but this Alton is very dark. It does not have an appealing character to it, so that is out. Now this tea has been heated up, the milk has been heated up, it's formed skin, and that's gone into the tea, so that's, spoiled it a little bit. But again here, this Anfield, if this had been a good tea, again, you can see that it's lacking body. It doesn't take well to milk. But if you look here at these two have probably the best cup colours. This one is a little reddish, and maybe when you combine it with the Somerset, it'll come out and blend well. And then here, the Stockholm probably has the nicest colour. It has a bright golden cup, little golden rim around it. I'm going to taste these with the milk in them. So 4 dice. With milk, 4 dice is still good. The milk takes well, you still get that thickness around your palate. Stockholm. And that's where it changes. You see, with the milk, which is how most people will taste this tea, this is how they'll enjoy their English breakfast. When you put milk into this 4 dice, the aroma and the character are subdued. But when you add a bit of milk to this Stockholm, the entire cup lifts up. And that's what you're seeing here. You're seeing the entire cup lifted. It's a lot brighter. It's a lot more appealing on the eye to drink, I think. This Stockholm, when you add a bit of milk, is a pick. The other 3 teas, I know they're already too light, but I'm going to try them anyway. The Alton doesn't have an appealing colour to it once you add the milk. Very red, very brownish. Exactly what I said. Too thin. Way too thin. You're not really tasting anything there. Great Western. This was a good tea. Let's try it with a bit of milk. Too thin. Again, same problem. It's not going to work for an English breakfast tea. Anfield, completely thin, nothing in the palate. So really, it comes down to these two. My pick is going to be the Stockholm, and if I was to rate them in terms of what I want and in terms of tea, I would go with Stockholm first, 4 dice second. I've got to put this Alton at the back, and then Great Western, Anfield, and then Alton at the end. These two are close, third, fourth. Stockholm for me really is the standout. That's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be going after this line of Stockholm tea, combining it up, blending it, and getting some English breakfast tea out to you guys. If you guys want to check out our new website, you can subscribe and save. Jump on. You can either get tea, English breakfast tea in tea bags, or even better yet, guys, save the environment. Buy loose leaf tea. Get yourself a teapot, and brew up your tea first thing in the morning. Take your tea leaves, put them back onto your grass or onto your vegetable patch or into a plant pot. They're excellent for helping growth in plants. So completely recyclable and compostable. Help the environment, help us, help the tea pickers of Sri Lanka. I will see you guys next week, where I've got an episode on Uva. I think we've got an episode on Uva tea. So that's what's on next week. Thank you for watching.